Friends, thank you for joining us for our second live this evening. And in this live, we take a moment for an introduction to the Book of Wisdom. The full name is actually The Wisdom of Solomon. It's an apocryphal book. It's one of those Old Testament books that is not part of the Hebrew Scriptures, that we have thanks to the Greek Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew Scriptures, which includes some things that are not found in the Hebrew Scriptures. And one of those is the Wisdom of Solomon. We will start reading that in the next couple of days. On Saturday morning, yesterday, we also did two introductions, one for Paul's first epistle to the Thessalonians, and one for the book of Nehemiah, the second half of the ancient book that was at one point in time the combination of Ezra and Nehemiah. We've read Ezra already. We began that the 9th of April and we finished that the 22nd of June. Tomorrow morning we will begin reading these three books: First Thessalonians, Nehemiah, and Wisdom continuous. So we have wisdom in front of us tonight. Brief introduction. The theme of wisdom is that it has nothing to do with knowledge but righteousness. Wisdom and righteousness is the focus of attention. Wisdom is spoken of as a personified being and is extolled in the most glowing phrases and expressions of praise. One of the main lessons of wisdom is that retribution and reward are not necessarily received in the present life, but are to be realized in the afterlife of the immortal soul. This book teaches that immortality, not material abundance, is the goal of the righteous, and one of the author's contributions was the inauguration of an otherworldly perspective that was before lacking in Judaism. It's a focus that really isn't so much in the Hebrew Scriptures. Some of the major prophets begin hinting at some of the minor prophets too. But it really doesn't have the prominent role that is brought around in other books like the apocryphal books. And by the time of the Gospels, was still not a matter of consensus. Remember, the two main groups who are adversarial bodies to Jesus, the Pharisees and the Sadducees. The Pharisees believed that there was something more than the present. They believed in an otherworldly perspective. The Sadducees did not. Jesus doesn't quite so much take advantage of that. I guess you could say somewhat he does. When the Sadducees put before him the test about the man with six brothers and the woman who was married to the first who ended up marrying all seven, and they ask him whose wife will she be in the resurrection, which they don't actually believe was a real thing. And Jesus calls them out on their test and on the fact that they're asking for something that they don't actually believe. Paul is the one who really calls this out at a point in Acts where Paul is himself before the council Paul, from his background as a Pharisee, knows the difference and gets the Pharisees in the council to align with him by saying that he is on trial for his hope in the resurrection. But that's the gospel, so that's not wisdom. It's good to know this is fundamental, foundational in this text. We don't actually know who wrote this. It's not Solomon. It's actually written well after Solomon's lifetime. Probably only about, from what I saw earlier, 40 to 45 years before the birth of Christ, around the year 50 BCE, which, yeah, written within the first century BCE, and originally written in Greek. And yes, the audience is the Jewish community, Jewish believers. Let's take a quick look at the big board, the Bible Project poster board that we will use as we walk through this. There are basically 3 sections to this book, 19 chapters. This isn't a terribly long book. Before we get into those 3 sections, this is in line with seeking to apply the teachings of Torah, God's instruction, with Proverbs and wisdom. Seek wisdom and live. It's a matter of a choice between idolatry and injustice and faithfulness and wisdom of actually being alive in God. So yeah, these 3 sections, the first section, the first 6 chapters, the contrast between the wise and the wicked. And there's references to Psalm 2, as you'll see here. That's the first 6 chapters. Then we will go into the second section, which is 3 chapters, 7 through 9, which speak of the way of God's wisdom. How one lives into this, how one knows it. And again, we are encountered by this figure from Psalm 8 and Proverbs 8. Lady Wisdom, the personification of wisdom. And then the last 10 chapters, the wisdom of the Torah, remembering the teachings of God through Moses in the first 5 books of the Bible. So friends, that's wisdom. We'll start reading that next few days, possibly tomorrow morning. I'm not sure yet which of the 3 we will begin reading after morning prayers tomorrow, but it will be one of those 3 books. 1 Thessalonians, Wisdom, or Nehemiah. We'll read one, start reading one tomorrow in the morning. We'll start reading one tomorrow in the evening. And then the one that is left over after tomorrow, we will begin reading after morning prayers on Tuesday morning. Friends, thank you for joining us. Have a blessed evening, and I hope you can join us in the morning for morning prayers. Good night.